Welcome back to the DNaz channel. I'm your host, DNaz. Today we are going to the great teacher plant, Ayahuasca. I am going to bring you to the Amazon rainforest where we are going to rediscover the beautiful vine that gives you visions. And visions and prophecy and the thought of seeing God and all that, all this comes from a state of ecstasy that has been long endured and sought after by ancient civilizations around the world and people today, all looking for these types of medicine, these types of plants. These medicines were used as ritual rites in cults. They were used as coming of age um, ceremonies. They were used in these type of ceremonies. The church was known to use these type of psychoactive hallucinogenic drugs. We know this because we know the rituals they used to use, like smoking the aisle, fumigation. Fumigation was very big in ancient Rome, in ancient Greece. We have thousands and thousands of texts written down talking about this type of medicinal use through psychoactive properties of plants. It is nothing new. We work in symbiosis with nature. So these things are natural and they naturally affect our brain's chemistry. And they are something that can do glorious things, a lot of healing. It could do a lot of damage too. But that's where the spiritual workers come in. That's where the shamans come in, or that's where the doctors come in, right? That's where doctors come in. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into ayahuasca. Ayahuasca has been around for hundreds of years, I would say thousands, used in the Amazon basin, like Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, right? It is known as the teacher plant or the vine of the soul, okay? It has the active compound DMT, right? And it's not just a one plant. Ayahuasca is a vine, but there are other plants that are usually mixed with it in order to get the right I think it's like inhibitors that break down, okay, the DMT in your body, right? So they use more than one plant, right? And you will see this in a lot of old um medicine, like Roman medicine, Greek medicine. If you look up Galen, right, or Hippocrates type medicine, you will see these types of compounds being made from two different types of plants, right? And that's what you have here with ayahuasca. Okay. Ayahuasca has made its way around. It has spread up to America. And I want to give you a little bit of history about that and how it got here and who were the pioneers that discovered ayahuasca. Who were the soldiers that went out there, before technology and were staying with tribes with, you know what I mean? And getting this information and doing the hard work, doing the legwork. But again, the real person that brought it home was Richard Evans Schultz. He is known as the father of botany, ethnobotany to be specific. That is actually what drove me to become an environmental scientist and to start learning about this stuff, is reading his story. He's a man that went to Harvard, and he got there and he was sent off to the Amazon to study ayahuasca, studied these different types of plants, these psychoactive plants. And so it was his teacher that actually sent him out there to go do it. He lived out there for 17 years. 17 years. Documented, he was there 1941 to 1953. I know it's not 17 years, but in total, he spent that much time there. He visited and participated in ceremonies with a great number of ayahuasca using indigenous groups, carefully observing and recording their use of the brew. This is a brew, it is a tea, right? They're making a concoction over a fire. After Schultz spends a significant amount of time down there, he wrote a bunch of books talking about this. He has different books. He has Plants of the Gods, Their Sacred Healing and Hallucinogenic Powers, 1979. Then he has Medicine Men, Their Plants and Rituals in the Colombian Amazon. That's from 1992. again, this man was a pioneer. Thousands of plants he put in his name, he discovered, because he was one of the old people that got to go down there. And this is before um, people got to put their claim on all these plants. There's still thousands to tens of thousands of plants in the Amazon that can be named and discovered, and species of not just plants, of animals. If you are a biologist or a botanist, going to the Amazon is a good way to get your name on something, to discover something for yourself, right? Because there's just so much there that we don't have documented, that we've never seen before. And Schultz is one of the early pioneers to go out there and really document everything. And he was learning from the tribes that he was staying with. So he was getting this immense knowledge that goes back by the word of mouth thousands of years, right? As long as those tribes and their ancestors have been in that land, they have been foraging and making medicine out of plants. And he was collecting this knowledge. He was learning all this information, and he brought so much back to America. This is actually how anesthesia came to America, because they learned that you could put somebody under. Some of these drugs that they were using would make a person seem like they were in a death state, like a coma, right? Because it really, when you're working with these types of drugs, you're working with poisons, right? And that's what a lot of people don't know. These shamans, these are toxicologists, okay? There's a difference between a doctor and, an MD or a toxicologist. A toxicologist is working with poisons, and working with giving you that perfect dose so you don't die, right? Because a little bit too much, you're dead. It's poison, right? You can just give a little bit too much and you're dead. It's a very delicate and dangerous field, and takes great skill and knowledge, okay? And these shamans are toxicologists, okay? So they know how to make shit out of, and we have this documented. So if we go back to Galen, right, from ancient Greece, Galen wrote books on how to use not just plants, but they use like animal parts, right? Certain types of animal fats, even feces, urine. I mean, the way they experimented with medicine in 2,000 years ago was way different. It was at its early stage, and it was very raw, right? But it was very sophisticated. People have this idea that these people were like simple hunter-gatherers. No. If you go to Pergamon, right, where Galen was learning, right? Pergamon was a place where the gladiators would fight, and there were surgeons there. These were trained surgeons. They had immense knowledge, okay? It was a very sophisticated ancient society, all right? Ancient Greece and ancient Rome were very sophisticated, and way more than we give them credit for. People don't think about it as much as they should, like where we haven't really advanced that much, maybe with certain technologies. But as far as medicine goes, we have declined greatly, because back then they were working more towards cures, and they worked with a lot of purgatives. Again, they're toxicologists, so they'll give you something, you'll get poisoned, you'll throw it up. When you get poisoned, your body detoxes. This is the same thing as like an opiate detox, right? Your body is going to go through these withdrawals, sweating and fever, fevers, colds. You're going to go through these symptoms that puking, shitting yourself. That is a poison. That is poisoning. And when your body detoxes, it's getting the poisons out of you. It's pushing materials like metals out of you, right? Because again, a lot of these concoctions, a lot of drugs are made with metals. If you look at how our medicine is made, I mean, they take compounds from plants, but then they also take things like calcite. They take these different metals from the earth, and that also is in use. This is alchemy, people. This is ancient alchemy, okay, at its finest. And some people say that they have taken ayahuasca and taken these types of hallucinogenic plants, and that the shamans say that they would get information from the hallucination about how to make more drugs. So they would take these drugs and it would give them ideas on mixing certain things that would be correct, and they would learn new recipes. They said it was given to them, not they thought of it, it was given to them, right? So that through the hallucination, right? So they're using it as a learning experience. It's just like anything that's like a snowdrop, right? That is used for neurological issues and being sharp and on point and treating Alzheimer's and stuff. Like there's plants that are around you every day that you don't really notice, like flowers and things like that that bloom every day, and you don't even know how important those are to certain um, drugs that we have today. What we and where that knowledge came from, because that knowledge came from ancient Greece and ancient Rome, from all these books that were left thousands of years ago in Sumeria and all these texts of great knowledge of plants. And then we broke plants down, turned them into fine powders, extracted their compounds, and that's it. We don't think of plants as medicine anymore. It's no different. You're just going right to the source. So you could take a pill or you could go use a plant. You are going right to the source. It's a different science. You got to learn how to extract it. It's very complicated. It is no less complicated than our methods today. It's probably more complicated because certain plants don't extract well in certain ways. So you can't just extract something one way. You have to, that one can be extracted with oil. Like ayahuasca is a tea, right? It's brewed as a tea. Okay, that's because there's an inhibitor. I think it's MIO inhibitor. And if you just eat the plant, your body doesn't break it down. So the other plant that you use with ayahuasca, let's look it up. So the ayahuasca plant is the bee cappy vine, okay? So that vine, yes, it's MAO inhibitor, okay? The plant is broken down by monoamine oxidase, MAO, in the body when orally consumed, okay? However, when combined with a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, MAOI, such as harmala, found in the bee cappy vine and close relatives, the DMT becomes orally active in the body. So mixing the bee cappy vine with the ayahuasca, okay? So this is what I mean. This is toxicology being worked at its finest, and I love it. And again, he experimented. Richard Evans Schultz went with so many different tribes. The Kofan tribes, their shamans were exquisite. Let's see. Shamans also explained to Schultz that during their ayahuasca visions, they had been told, look, I was just saying this, by ayahuasca about how to use certain plants for the purposes of healing and divination, gaining knowledge of the future by supernatural means. Schultz also found in his expedition that these were used as a ceremony, a kind of rite of passage. I was saying that before, properly integrate into native cultures. So he documented all this. He documented over 2,000 medicinal plants in the Amazon alone. 2,000. Identified a total of 24,000 while he was out there. Identified 24,000 different plants while he was out there. Okay. Recorded medical use for 2,000 of them, and 300 of them were previously known to Western science. So out of 26,000 plants that he discovered, 300 of them were known to Western science. This is what I mean about to you guys. The Western science, right? In Eastern science, they knew about that. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the Egyptians, they knew. They have this knowledge. That knowledge is still sitting over there in libraries. We have copies of all that stuff here in Oxford and Harvard, but we don't teach our kids these things. But they know that, only to Western science, most of these weren't known. But still, to go over there and be able to discover 24,000, it's just amazing. The work that he did and bringing back the ayahuasca over here, really popularizing ayahuasca. And now we have retreats you can go to and get high, I guess. You know, it's come way far from where it originally started, which is as a spiritual, ceremonial thing, a divine thing, right? And used as healing, right? That is medicine. And that's why I bring you this knowledge here, because we need to start getting smarter, learning more about nature, working with plants, what medicines come from it. The average person should be able to heal themselves. By now, we used to we lived outside as humans our whole life, right? Starting fire. I mean, we came up from caveman. You would think we should have our plants mastered by now, and people, the average person should be able to go outside their home and find remedies for their own illnesses. And it should just be common knowledge. But in reality, the average person can't identify more than 5 plants around his home. That's a fact. You can look that up. Okay. So you've been watching the DNaz channel. Come back for more plant knowledge, some more toxicology knowledge, all that. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Peace.